By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to increase your team's velocity by at least 10% starting today. First thing, what's velocity? Velocity simply measures the amount of work completed by a team in a sprint. Work completed includes finished tasks, user stories, backlog items, features. The key here is completed items. Partially completed items don't go towards the team's velocity, and we need to measure this work. Point values are assigned to each one of these items. The more complex the item is, the more points are assigned to the items. Some teams prefer measuring items in hours, some mandates, days. I prefer measuring the items, the amount of work in story points, which is a typical agile way of measuring items. If you want more details on how to measure work, estimate work in Agile, in Scrum, watch this video right here. One of the most common reasons why people contact me, go through my one-to-one coaching program is to get hired as a Scrum Master, maybe their first Scrum Master jobs. Some people have already been Scrum Masters in the past and want to land this high-paying Scrum Master job. One of my clients recently got a question in the interview by the hiring manager. In our organization, we have multiple Scrum teams working together on various projects. The problem is that some Scrum teams have low velocity compared to other teams, and these low velocity teams need to work in the next financial year on critical projects. Already set deadlines. We need to meet these deadlines. We need to increase the velocity of these teams. How would you handle this situation as a Scrum Master? Simple question, but quite hard to answer. If you look closely at the question, you'll realize that management want to increase velocity of these teams, these low-performing teams. And these types of velocity questions, you always need to get context. You always need to ask why. Why do we need to increase velocity? What's the problem with the team's current velocity? Based on what? If they tell you there's a problem, based on what? Are they guessing that velocity is low? Are they comparing that to another type of project, maybe run in the waterfall model or any type of software development methodology? Comparing to what? Comparing to other teams? Are they comparing velocity with different teams? Maybe management have a wrong expectation on how much the team can produce. Even landing on the moon, amazing feat, can be a total failure in the eyes of management. If management believes that we were landing on Mars, beware what you tell to management. But the most common reason that I see why people are trying to tell teams that they have low velocity and trying to increase that is comparing teams. Management, the PMO, people in the organization, senior people are comparing teams, velocity of different teams, and that's a totally wrong thing to do. Velocity is a subjective measure, unique to the team. Shouldn't be comparing velocity of multiple teams. I won't go through this now, but if you want more information on how to use velocity wrong, watch this video right here. Now that we have put all the wrong reasons why people try increasing velocity of a team out of the way, let's talk about some healthy ways to increase velocity. Starting with the first one, improving the quality. Can sound counterintuitive to improve the quality of a feature, of a product, of something being built by a team because it increases code reviews, testing automation. A ton of work needs to be put into improving the quality of an increment. It's a burden for the team and as a result, less time to produce new features. And you would think that improving the quality would reduce the velocity of a team, but that's not the case. I've talked with many Scrum Masters, tons of Agile coaches. No Agile practitioner has ever told me that increasing quality would reduce velocity. It's the other way around. We save a lot of time down the line when we improve quality because we don't need to fix all these bugs, all these production issues. It's an investment that you make, a long-term investment that you should be taking right now for the future. Number 2, teach everyone everything. As a Scrum Master, you need to ensure that the team is cross-functional. A Scrum team is a cross-functional team. Cross-functional simply means that all the skills, knowledge, everything required to produce the increment, to produce this feature or this product, this service. The skills are and the knowledge are within the team. But what if the skills and knowledge are with a single person or multiple people? What if a single person in the team knows how to reset a database, refresh a database? What if this person leaves the company? Sick, local leaves. What happens to a team? That's why it's important that everyone in the team, they are training each other, they are sharing this knowledge. Job titles like QA developer, Java developer. I don't like these job titles because it gives the impression that this person will only do QA testing. It's wrong. This person should also be helping in development, like a developer should be helping in doing the testing. Remember, sharing the knowledge in Scrum, there's no such thing as these roles. There's the development team. That's it. And there's a reason for that. The team needs to be cross-functional and this knowledge needs to be shared so that there's no blockers, impediments if ever someone leaves the company or is sick. The next thing that you can do to increase your velocity is streamlining your testing. People in the team spend a lot of time testing things, building automation strips, maintenance, highly critical tasks, but can reduce the team's velocity. Yeah, it's a burden for the team, blocks the team from producing more features. And it's really important to optimize the testing, streamline your testing. And a good way to do that is to completely stop doing things that are test related, which waste a lot of time. Completely useless things. Things like testing unchanged code. If a code was stable for several sprints, several months, it's highly unlikely that it will break now, especially if you haven't changed the code. So why waste time testing that? I see a lot of people also, they like testing code that are linked to features that are not used by many people. Why test that? If a code hasn't changed, don't test that. Doesn't make any sense. Even if there's a bug, there's only 1 or 2 users who will be impacted. No one cares. Stop wasting time, especially if it takes a lot of time to test that. Testing overlap is also a common problem. Developers writing tests for a feature that is already covered by other tests, partially or even fully, simply because of a lack of visibility of what tests exist in the system. It's a total waste of time, a total waste of effort. So work with the developers in order to fix that. One of the key things that you can do to increase your velocity, number 3, is improving your planning, especially your release planning the future. I know, in Agile, in Scrum, we don't like planning too far and especially in details, but planning can help you identify challenges, risk, dependencies, start working on technical solutions. All these things that will block us, impediments that will slow us down when we start the planning. Common things, dependencies, challenges, technical solutions, unclear. All these things, if they were known before actually starting the sprint, might have not blocked us during the sprint, might have not caused impediments during the sprint. So try to plan ahead, at least at a higher level, so that you don't go into these challenges. It doesn't need to be in details, just identify the dependencies and the challenges. Talking about impediments, blockers, the role of a Scrum Master is causing the removal of impediments, things slowing down the team. Does it say in the Scrum Guide, the latest version, that the Scrum Master needs to remove all the impediments? The Scrum Master shouldn't be removing all these impediments because the team needs to be self-organized and self-managed. But the Scrum Master needs to ensure that the team is removing these impediments, supporting, serving, and helping the team. But the team is not hiding these impediments or these blockers, not making them visible and just hiding these impediments. That's the role of a Scrum Master. Make everything transparent so that we can inspect and then we can adapt. At the end of the day, velocity is subjective and unique to the team. If you force the team to increase their velocity by giving them money, incentives, as an example, the team can just 10x their velocity by beefing up their estimations. Do you want that? Obviously no. Agile teams don't go faster by increasing their velocity. No, they go faster by releasing early, continuously by releasing to production features, services, products more often, continuously, to reduce depreciation, to reduce the cost of delay, to get feedback from customers. These are the things that you should be focusing on, not increasing your velocity. If you want more tips, insights on Agile, Scrum, personal growth, click on the video that stands out the most on the screen right now, and I'll see you in a few seconds.